Hello and welcome to NewsMobile. We are having a very different kind of a conversation. We are sitting in the Orient Express, the famous restaurant in Delhi, and I'm joined by Ambassador Neelam Dev, an old friend, and now she's the director of a very prominent think tank, Gateway House in Mumbai. Thank you for talking to us, ma'am.
Pleasure to be here.
Just a quick overview of what 2019 is going to be for in the diplomatic arena. I'm just going to ask you, so we have a format which is like a rapid fire format. A lot of young audiences are watching you today. On South Asia, where do you see it going since we are in election year here? Do you see some kind of a progress happening between India and Pakistan and Bangladesh? We've got a successful elections happening. Where do you see that going?
So I think 2019 is going to continue to be a period of transition for South Asia as it is globally. And the elections that have already been held in South Asia, which is Maldives and Bangladesh, have both democratically elected governments which are friendly to India, friendlier than their predecessors. I think that will be the prevailing sentiment among the rest of the South Asians. Pakistan is always a special case, and it does reach out to India, but it's a little bit of a fake reaching out, because they really must address terrorism issues.
Absolutely.
If they want to deal with their own civil strife within Pakistan as well. And now that the efforts to resolve Afghanistan are more focused, there is a lot of back and forth, and Zalmay Khalilzad's mission has failed for the moment, but it will continue, and the American president is in a hurry. He has given a 6-month mandate, and he would like that situation to be resolved soon. So I think Pakistan really must look at what the consequences for itself will be, what kind of solution it wants to work for, and that will also have a bearing on Pakistan reaching out to India. And I think India would not respond in 3 weeks before its own election.
Absolutely.
But I think once the election is over, India itself would want to have a better relationship with Pakistan.
And you are in Mumbai, and the biggest attack on India, 26/11, we've not had a closure. Pakistan has not done anything on the issue of terrorism.
Not at all. In fact, the accused are walking around free. Absolutely. Except for the one that was Kasab, that was captured in India.
True. You cover a lot on geopolitics and economics especially. Where do you see the China-US trade war impacting the Indian interest? Do you see that at all impacting us?
If the China-US trade war continues with the kind of intensity that it has just now, I think it will impact everybody. But it will not impact everybody the same way. Some countries better than others, some sectors of economies worse than others. So it looks as if China is feeling the pain, because they have made some concessions. They've made some new regulations on intellectual property. They have offered to buy more American products, particularly agricultural products. But it is the supply lanes that the Americans are also looking at, and it is the evolution, or the more, I should use the word revolution, in high technology, that both countries, the US and China, want to be at the head of. And that is what the trade war is about, more than just a trade balance or a trade deficit. So I think India can be one of the beneficiaries. One, of course, the Chinese have reached out and are going to import more Chinese, Indian pharmaceuticals, rice, etc. But that is small. The other way is, of course, that those companies who are trying to diverse out of China are looking at India also as an investment destination. And then by aggravating the war with their conflict with Taiwan, I think that can be useful also, because it's big Taiwan companies, Foxconn, etc., which have looked at India already and invested in India already.
Absolutely. And what about Chinese asserting themselves, the South China Sea? Do you see that really a lot of ASEAN countries, do you see that asserting themselves, coming together against China's designs? Do you see that happening in 2019?
I would say that China has effectively split ASEAN already. Those countries that have no stakes in the South China Sea are not supporting the efforts of those countries that do have a stake. Philippines has calmed down, even though it received a judgment in its favor from
Yes,
the
absolutely.
tribunal. So no, I do not see ASEAN coming together. I also do not see China withdrawing from the South China Sea, where it has already militarized islands that it had expanded or created.
Where do you see President Trump has asked India to reduce the trade deficit? That's a thorny issue between India and the US. Do you see that playing out in a big way?
I think the trade deficit is quite small. I do not think it will play out in a big way, but it's definitely a irritant problem, and India will have to make some moves to assuage a president who has asked all countries in the world, including their closest allies like some of the Europeans, Germany, Canada, Mexico, to reduce the trade deficits. I think that collectively, because the American market is so important to everybody, including India, I think everybody will have to make at least some gestures.
Do you see US and North Korea in a way, and it seems that President Trump may have another round. The North Korean leader is currently visiting China. Do you see that relationship, I would say, some kind of a thaw happening there would impact India also? Because India, as you know, had a concern at one time, but they also had relationship with North Korea.
Yeah. So I think that the India, China, North Korea triangle will be very interesting. But I think also I will be surprised if the North Koreans actually disarm themselves rapidly or fully, because I think they also know that that is their leverage with the Americans. It is also their leverage with the Chinese, which is why the Chinese support them, take them seriously. Even the Russians are interested in that outcome. Japan is very interested, because if the medium range missiles are not dismantled, then Japan is the target. South Koreans obviously are very interested. And what is the most interesting part of this dance is that the two Koreas have moved further than anyone else in terms of at least a rapprochement. Very important for families of Koreans who have been separated. Will there be progress? Very difficult for anyone to say. I think there will be a lot of back and forth on the North Korea-US.
Before we end, if you were to etch out a dominant theme for 2019 for diplomacy, what is that going to be according to you?
I would say improve your own economy. Do not be rash. It's very rapidly moving. The pieces in the global setting are moving rapidly, but also then take some decisions. I think we should accept that our strategic situation at this moment is such that we really need to have the support of Western countries. Otherwise, pressure from China is growing all the time.
Ambassador Dev, thank you so much for talking to NewsMobile.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching NewsMobile. Do follow us on Twitter at NewsMobile India. You can follow me on Twitter at iSaurabh Shukla. Also, go and like our Facebook page and do check out our AI, artificial intelligence powered newsbot that's becoming really popular. Stay tuned to NewsMobile for stories made for your mobile.